Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let's keep the fun going because Representative Pfluger actually hit on the question I was going to ask, so that's okay. Commissioner Carr, I know that you have been on this as well, so if you want to follow up to Representative Pfluger's comments regarding the spectrum calendar and just give us your take on that real quick, that would be
Yeah, look, I think it can be pretty simple. I think we should all put it forward, our own plans. I put my plan forward. Let's just put forward the specific megahertz that we want to move by particular years, and let's just publish that. I think that'd be a very important step. And look, if we did that, I think that'd actually help Congress understand the need to pass our auction authority rather than the other way around.
Right, and I appreciate that. Chairwoman, and I'm going to butcher your last name, so I'm not even going to try it, just out of respect. So, Chairwoman, at the end of September, the Secretary of Defense submitted its paths report on the lower 3 gigahertz band to the Secretary of Commerce, which was required by the infrastructure law. Now, of course, it's up to the Secretary of Commerce and NTIA to identify spectrum in the band for auction. Now, the Secretary of Commerce is required to coordinate with FCC in the process. So to what extent are you involved with the Secretary's process for identifying frequencies in the lower 3 gig band for commercial use? And have you seen the DoD report?
Yeah, that's the real question, isn't it? I have asked to see it, so I've asked for a briefing. I'd certainly encourage everyone.
So you haven't seen it?
Not yet, but I've asked for one. I would encourage every single person on this committee to ask for a copy of it because the bipartisan infrastructure law tells us that we're supposed to auction spectrum in the lower portion of the 3 gigahertz band. And I've got to prepare for an auction by November of 2024. And we collectively have to come together and figure out what we're going to do about that obligation and the paths report at the same time.
Well, and Chairwoman, you might have better luck asking the White House and the DoD for that report than Congress, given the environment we find ourselves in. But have you provided any sort of input, as just a follow-up to this, on the timing of the auction? I know you mentioned 2024, potential auction design that could maximize feasibility of meeting the 110%.
It's really contingent on that report, as you can imagine. I can't ask my staff to plan for something if we don't know the details.
We should all just march right on over to the Pentagon right now. It's a joke. I know we are not allowed to have a sense of humor in Congress anymore. It's a joke. Okay. Following up on that, I know broadband maps have been mentioned multiple times here today, but I wanted to follow up on that issue, specifically the FCC's national broadband map. Should that be the map used for all federal broadband programs?
Okay, so we're using that map to identify where service is and is not for both wired and wireless broadband in every theoretically buildable location in the country.
Right.
And we're taking that data and we're putting it on a separate map called the Broadband Funding Map. And that map's really important because everyone on this committee should care about it. We got lots of entities with a lot of broadband money as a result of COVID-era legislation, and every one of them needs to report to me in the same data format so I can come back to you and say, we covered this area, we didn't cover this area. Looks like we have duplication. What do you want to do about it? If I could get your help with making sure that every entity with broadband funds reports to us for that accurate broadband funding map, you would all be doing a lot of good for oversight.
I had a feeling you were going there, so I'm going to keep the softball going. I also serve on the House Agriculture Committee. Do you believe that we need some
like a
cooperation from USDA with the funding of the broadband maps?
Let me be clear. I had set up, because I noticed we had a lot of different programs and not a lot of people had the mapping data we did, I went and set a memorandum of understanding with the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Treasury, and Department of Commerce. They have the biggest broadband funding programs. There's a lot of other little ones, so we now put it on paper, we're working together. But making sure they continue to report to us so that broadband funding map is accurate is really important. And now that you told me you sit on the Agriculture Committee, we're going to follow up with you on that point.
I look forward to it. Commissioner Carr, in 2017, Congress voted to nullify the FCC's 2016 privacy and data security requirements. In your view, does the Commission have legal authority whatsoever to reimpose just a portion of those requirements instead of the whole order?
No, it does not. We need to respect the decision of Congress. The 2017 CRA was the decision that ensured that we would have a level playing field across all industry sectors when it came to privacy. The FCC should not be working unlawfully to disrupt that.
Thank you. And to bring us into the home stretch, Chairwoman, I'm going to just end on something that I think everyone is concerned about, and that's AI. So talking about the comment period for the notice of inquiry on advancing understanding of non-federal spectrum usage closed recently. And the inquiry focused in part on the machine learning and AI and leveraging those tools at the FCC for spectrum management. How do you plan to use the information gathered through the NOI, specifically as it relates to artificial intelligence and ML? And what are the next steps for the FCC in this space, and how can we coordinate? I know I'm over time, but
yeah.
thank
The
you.
next step is to read what was been filed with us. But look, artificial intelligence, if we can have pattern identification on large scale, we can take scarce resources like our airwaves and figure out more efficient ways to use them. DARPA's already done a lot of work on introducing artificial intelligence and machine learning to networks. I want to see what we can do on the commercial side to optimize our airwaves and our networks. So it's an exciting proceeding. I look forward to reading the record.
Thank you. I yield.